What a weekend of college football, and what a week 3 of results for us to evaluate and rank right here at the Voice of College Football in our top 25 that actually makes sense. If you have yet to check out our top 25 and our approach to ranking teams in college football, hang tight. We are basing this strictly on the results on the field, the results and the performance. So take any game and we will evaluate it differently, not just based on the win or the loss, but the performance on the field. Ole Miss completely annihilated Tulane over the weekend, 61-21. Had they won that game 41-40, then that game gets evaluated differently, even though it's still a win for Ole Miss and a loss for Tulane. Also, keep in mind that I'm not ranking these teams based on how good I think they are. You can check out my preseason rankings. You can check out other predictions that I've made from week to week. Wink, wink. They're really good. They're on Patreon. I have predicted these against the spread well over 60%. So check us out on Patreon. And again, team, for example, here, Wisconsin. I do not have the Badgers ranked in my top 25 based on the results on the field to date. They will have the opportunity to get ranked if they continue to march on it and if they defeat teams on their schedule. I believe Wisconsin's one of the 25 best teams in the country. They are not currently ranked in my top 25. That actually makes sense because it's based on the results on the field, the wins, the losses, and the performance. If you would like to go about this exercise, I would ask you to do the same. Give it a try. Give it a try, not based on my criteria, based on your criteria, whatever you think to be important, because a number of you are going to bring forth teams that you believe should be ranked or point out teams in my top 25 that should not be ranked. We have completed 3 weeks of football, and we still have 34 undefeated teams in college football. 34 undefeated teams in college football, and I evaluated 48 teams in total. There's also the consideration of bad wins and good losses. So, for example, you've got teams that barely scraped by inferior teams. Kentucky had a narrow escape against Chattanooga. How do you give evaluation to that game? They did win the game. Give them credit for winning the game, but it was against Chattanooga. Classic example of a good loss, and no loss is good, and every win is good. To a certain extent, of course, you're out there to win the game, but Florida and what they performed at the Swamp against Alabama has to be evaluated, even though the Gators lost the game. So keep that in mind. It's about the wins and the losses. The results on the field are paramount, but also evaluating the performance against the opponent. Also understand that these games have to be reevaluated every week. What does that mean? Well, that means when Kansas State beat Stanford in week 1, we had a certain evaluation of that game, and that evaluation is constantly changing. So keep in mind, this becomes a more difficult process as we go if you truly stick to the practice. And the method, I could be lazy, and I could just rank the teams based on what I think, but I am doing my best to apply the method that we have established of ranking the wins and the losses and the performance on the field. Kansas State beat Stanford. That win was evaluated in week 1. Stanford since has defeated USC and Vanderbilt. Gives a different slant to that win way back in week 1. We're going to be here 8 weeks from now, and I'll be reevaluating games from week 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 all the way through 7. So keep that in mind. All right, here's the top 25 that actually makes sense with 34 undefeated teams, 48 teams that I evaluated beyond that. All right, at number 25, we got UCLA. 24 is Clemson. 23, San Diego State. Number 22 is Kentucky. At number 21, Ohio State. In the top 20, we've got Rutgers. We've got Oklahoma State. We've got Oklahoma at 18, Notre Dame 17. At number 16 is Fresno State. Top 15 looks like this. Texas A&M, Florida at 14, Maryland 13, Michigan 12, and Cincinnati at 11. Here's the top 10. Kansas State, Michigan State, Arkansas, Ole Miss at 7, BYU at 6. Our top 5 looks like this. Georgia, Alabama at 4, Penn State at 3, Oregon number 2, and the Iowa Hawkeyes are the number 1 team in the country as it stands right now on the results through the first 3 weeks. None of this, they would beat them. If it hasn't happened, it hasn't happened. I don't evaluate would-be games. I evaluate the 3 games that have been played, and there it is. The top 25 that actually makes sense. Leave your comments down below. I look forward to reading them. We will see you next time.